Bitcoin just bounced hard from a key double bottom, but now it's back at the one level that could decide everything. Is this the start of a breakout or a trap waiting to unfold?
A dud, let's be honest. Crypto's had a horrendous couple years or a year and a half since the initial pump on Trump being elected. But he's going to, knowing him, he's going to try to come back and do something positive and dangle a carrot, which should allow for a pump going into the late summer, early fall into November, in my humble opinion. So again, I still think there's short-term upside here over the next.
Bitcoin just pulled off the bounce everyone was waiting for, but the next few days could decide whether $70,000 is back on the table or whether a much bigger breakdown is about to begin. Bitcoin delivered the explosive bounce many traders were waiting for, but the real story is unfolding right now. After rebounding from a textbook double bottom setup and surging towards $67,200, the market has entered a make-or-break moment that could determine Bitcoin's next major move. According to Gareth Soloway's analysis, one level stands above everything else, the $63,500 to $63,700 zone. This area previously acted as resistance before turning into support, and Bitcoin has now returned to test it. That's where things get interesting. If buyers successfully defend this level, the setup resembles a classic breakout and retest pattern, opening the door for another rally with $70,000 emerging as the next major target. But there's a catch. Support zones don't remain strong forever. Every revisit weakens the foundation underneath. And if Bitcoin loses this critical area, the bullish narrative could quickly shift, exposing the market to a deeper retracement and potentially another test of the previous double bottom. That's why this pullback carries so much significance. The bounce already happened. The question now is whether Bitcoin is preparing for another breakout or setting the stage for something much bigger on the downside. Bitcoin just delivered the bounce everyone was watching, but the real question is whether this is the start of a new rally or the calm before a much deeper move. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this breakdown with other traders, and subscribe for more real-time crypto market analysis.
Here we go. Bitcoin again, we got the big bounce. I called for this bounce beautifully. It was only a simple double bottom. And again, you can see the trend line right there. Pivot low. We were oversold. If you looked at the RSI, we were at levels where it made sense to get a technical bounce. Then what did I say? I said, all right, guys, we have a green reversal candle and 3 inside reds. That's going to tell us that we're likely to rally higher. Sure enough, we started to move. As soon as we got above this high, we got that nice pop getting up to 67,200. Now, we are seeing a pullback, and this is very, very important, guys. So one of the things we were watching for was, when did this high level, this green candle, get taken out? And what I'm going to do is draw a trend line right here, okay? So what I'm doing is, notice again, we have a doji right here. It's probably hard to see, but a little candle there, flat top, and then goes right through here. Basically, this is your green move. And what we're watching here very, very closely today is, do we have a daily close below this 63,500, 600 level, or can we hold? It is imperative that Bitcoin holds this level. Okay. And by the way, you can even extend this out even further, and it goes right in this range right here as well. Right. So you have this level, the high of this red, this green here, and right through there. And you can see the high pivot right through there, and goes right to today's low. So right around that 63.5, 63.6 level, that's the level that I'm meticulously watching. Okay. Now, the reason why this is so important is that you had a breakout here above this zone, right? So we had this base zone here and high zone here. And this is where we were trading, right? You had the green up, red 1, 2, 3, all inside of the green, which was bullish. Then we had another green up, but it didn't eclipse this. Finally, we got the breakout here. We're back to that zone. So in other words, in the short term, and this is unbelievably important, in the short term, if you are a bull, and I still am positive in the short term on Bitcoin, Bitcoin has to hold this level. It has to. If it does, the bias remains bullish near term. Okay, bullish near term. So if we look at this and it holds here, what you would expect as a technician, you get your breakout, your retrace to the scene of the crime, and then we should get another move up to about 70,000 on Bitcoin. That would be the next stopping point, the next big resistance zone. All right. Now, if it breaks here, that's trouble, because now we come into this zone where we could even go back and retest the double bottom right over here. And one of the things we know in technical analysis, right, and this is very important, if you have a double bottom here, so I'm just drawing in a trend line, but let's say we come down here, we get a good bounce, then we come down again, we get a bounce, which is where we are here, right? Here's your down move, bounce, down move, bounce, exactly what I just drew up here. But what we know is that if you come down here and hammer enough, this trend line of support weakens, this double bottom weakens, and eventually you break through. All right, so this is really like, for me as a technician, now I took some of my profits off the table in smart money crypto on this move up. Thank goodness. I still have some, though. I only really took off half of some positions, right? What I always like to do is when I get in the money a little bit, I like taking half off, pocket the money, and then I let the second half run. And I say, well, listen, if we're going to go up 50%, I want to capitalize on that, right? At least I've taken some off the table. It also gives me the maneuverability to rebuy if I like it again on a pullback. I'm not ready to rebuy because we're at a pivotal point here, and I need to see what happens. But the point is, this level, 63.5 to 63.7, we'll call it, that is instrumentally important. And in fact, one of the things I would just point out is, look at, if we bring it over here, look at this. I mean, you're basically back to this point right here on the charts. And again, very, very important. Okay, so that's your short-term analysis. Short-term.
Bitcoin is standing at a level where everything looks stable on the surface, but underneath, a major move may already be loading. Bitcoin is standing at a critical crossroads, but what happens next could redefine the entire short-term trend. After delivering a strong rebound from a technical double-bottom structure, the market now faces a test that goes beyond the bounce itself. The real question is, can Bitcoin hold its key support zone, or is this just a pause before deeper pressure returns? According to the analysis, liquidity and structure matter more than anything else here. In highly liquid markets like Bitcoin, patterns carry probabilistic weight, meaning they tilt outcomes rather than guarantee them. So when price revisits a major breakout zone, is it accumulation or distribution? The $63,500 to $63,700 region now becomes a battleground. Hold it, and the setup still favors continuation toward higher levels, possibly even retesting the $70,000 zone. But lose it, and the entire structure starts to weaken fast. That's where the narrative shifts from bullish continuation to deeper correction risk. And here's the tension. Each retest weakens support. So is Bitcoin absorbing demand or exhausting it? Traders watching this level aren't just looking at price. They're watching momentum, conviction, and market psychology unfold in real time.
Of volume, like if you're trading a micro whatever and it trades no volume, the patterns aren't going to matter as much. But if you have something liquid like a Bitcoin or a large cap stock or even a mid cap stock or a commodity like gold or silver, it's going to work, right? I mean, and listen, when I say it's going to work, don't misinterpret that to say it works every time. It's just, it means that you can read the probabilities, and the probability of a cup and handle is that price goes up. It's not a guarantee because there's no such thing. I've seen cup and handles fail, but it says more often than not, price is going up. It gives you the bias. Okay. The other thing to look at here is also, this was a classic double top back in 2021, right? You know, here, even though you went higher, absolutely. And then listen, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this. I mean, this is just one of the most beautiful trend lines. This is how I called the top on Bitcoin in October of 2025, because we were up into this level. Look, high pivot to high pivot. So this is 2017 bull market high, 2021 high right there. And then 1, 2, 3. And so, I mean, I just remember so many people being so bullish, and I was like, but it hasn't broken out yet. And the fact that it's on its third attempt, like if it doesn't break out here, that's a cycle top. And I want you guys to understand that. So when you have an ascending trend line and price is hitting it underneath, if it hits it 3 times in succession and doesn't break, the odds are favoring not just a pullback, but a cycle top in that chart. Very important information right there. All right. So as we come down, one of the bigger concerns I have is a head and shoulders pattern. You can see it right here, shoulder, head, and shoulder. Now we've already obviously broken down and we've retraced. But The concern is how much lower could this go? So first of all, we draw our neckline in right here. Here's our neckline. Okay, so neckline is connecting basically the armpit on one side of the head to the other side right there. Now, to do this, what you do is you do a measurement, right? So we take this high here on Bitcoin, the highest point on the chart of the head, the highest point of the head, drop a plumb line straight down to the neckline, and wherever it broke, you put that measured move, and that's your target. And this does have me saying that, okay, listen, I hope it doesn't happen, because I'm going to be a buyer of Bitcoin once we get down to 50 and below. I'm just going to start accumulating. But this is telling me this could go as low as 35,000 or so. 35,000 on Bitcoin. That is your worst. 3 ascending trend lines where price is above. So when you have price above and you come down once, twice, 3 times, you almost always bounce. The first time bounce, second time bounce, third time bounce. If you come down a 4th time, the odds are 50-50 of a break. If you bounce, and let's say the 50% that said a bounce was coming in, and you come down again, now it's a 60-40, 70-30, and eventually it breaks. So it is a concern here. And if Bitcoin's going lower, then eventually ETH goes lower. Now, I still have some ETH. I took some off the table, but for the most part, I still have some ETH as a swing trade, which we're in the money on, which is great. But I got to monitor this really, really closely. All right, short term, same thing as Bitcoin. What we're watching here, folks, is, and by the way, ETH is actually a little stronger here. You can see right through here. So see how ETH is off of the trend line by more than Bitcoin is? But here, look, all these highs here to this high, to this high. I can zoom in a little bit more so you can see. But look, high, high, and high, breakout, and then retrace. So you have support all the way down to about 1,700, 1,690. That's got to hold. Then it can slingshot. And this is why I'm still bullish. Like, I mean, even though the macro might be scary on some of these, the short-term micro is still actually okay.
Bitcoin is sitting at a level where everything looks calm. But is it really? After a powerful rebound from a double bottom structure, price has now returned to a critical zone that once acted as resistance. So the real question is, support or trap? This is where the market reveals intent. If buyers defend this area again, does momentum ignite towards $70,000? Or is this just another setup before exhaustion? Each retest weakens the structure. So how many chances does this level actually have left? In liquidity-driven markets like crypto, patterns don't guarantee outcomes. They shift probabilities. So is this a continuation setup or a distribution in disguise? Watch this zone closely, because one side is preparing for continuation, while the other is waiting for breakdown. And in moments like this, the next move doesn't just follow price. It defines the entire trend. So now the question is, will Bitcoin hold this critical level and push higher, or is the next major move already pointing lower than most expect? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this breakdown, and subscribe for more real-time crypto market insights. Do you believe Bitcoin is building strength for another breakout, or is the support zone quietly setting up a deeper correction?